Late night salt. It's because we were being party people
It's
today.
the Late Late Show with Brett and Miranda and Aspen. Say hi, Aspen.
Hi, Aspen.
And Hadassah. Say hi, Hadassah.
Hi.
Hadassah's around the corner. Yeah, so we were busy.
Busy.
Yep.
Yes, we were busy today.
We had a Sabbath school meeting.
Took a long time.
Yep.
We intended to leave early, except that the part we were actually staying for was done last.
Yeah.
And so it was, the last part was specifically for the teachers, and so we kind of needed to stay for that. And this is why we are now here rather than there in the past time here. Yes.
Yep. But we made it back, and Miranda, being her dutiful, always pushing to do things because we always do them self. We must do salt every Sabbath, and here we are doing it, even though it's late.
Well, I prepared.
You did prepare.
I did prepare.
She's very prepared.
It's with Brett's stories.
Yes. Yeah. Aspen says I look dead, but I don't know. Maybe it's just the lighting.
Yes, it's the lighting. That's why I always look bad.
Yeah.
It's because of the lighting. That
Yeah.
Brett assures me it's the lighting.
That's it.
I don't look old
No.
in real life. It's just the lighting.
But anyway, so since we are late, we should jump right into it.
Yes, jump right into it. Oh, does that mean you are going to start with the sriracha sauce story?
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
It was just interesting. I was reading an article this last week, and it was a story that I thought was a kind of, I don't know, indicative of human nature in a way. I'm not a big spicy eater, so spice is just not my thing. Pepper is too spicy for me. So when it comes to spice, I'm a real wimp. But there's this it's sriracha sauce. So what is it?
Sriracha.
It's sriracha.
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 Anyway, I assume it's spicy. Is it spicy? Yeah.
Sriracha?
Yeah.
I've never had it.
Okay. Anyway, it's supposed to be spicy. It's made from peppers, and Hadassah says it's kind of spicy. So Hadassah is our resident sriracha, whatever it's called, sauce. Anyway, there was this immigrant from the Philippines, and long time ago, and he came to America for a better life with his family, and he started a little food truck, a little food thing, and he made a couple of different sauces. He made like 3 different ones, but his sriracha sauce really is the one that kicked off. It really took off, and at first it was just kind of a local thing, right around the town, the little community he lived in. It got bigger and bigger and bigger, and pretty soon he was getting really popular, and he was having a hard time getting peppers, that he would use to make the sauce. So he's got so big so fast, and he's having a hard time getting peppers to keep up with the demand. Not far down the road, there was a farmer, and he had been growing potatoes and onions and leeks and different things, and they just weren't selling to market like, I guess, when he was a kid and his family had the farm, they used to do better. But now that he was taking over the farm, it's just the market had changed, and they just weren't really hardly making it anymore. And he had this land and growing things that just weren't selling that well. And thus the two men met once and kind of shared their life predicaments, and they saw an opportunity where the sriracha sauce man said, "Hey, you've got land and you're looking to try and grow something new. Why don't you grow peppers for me, for my sriracha sauce? And that way you'll have a guaranteed, buyer." And they started doing that, and at first he was just planting an acre of peppers, then 2 acres, then 5 acres, then it just grew and grew and grew. And pretty soon this guy's sauce is worldwide, right? It goes to international markets. It was, you've probably seen it. It's a bottle with a green top and a rooster, I think is the logo. And pretty soon they were like the biggest sriracha sauce in the market, and no one could really break it because everyone loved this sauce, right? So this goes on for quite a while, and they're making a lot of money. Where this guy, the farmer, grew all his peppers. He turned almost his entire farm into pepper farm, and this one guy was his sole buyer, and they complemented each other, and that was a great business arrangement. They were both making money, and well, at one point, after a few years, the farmer was actually out to eat. No, he was on vacation somewhere with his family, and he got a phone call, and his farm manager said the business partnership is over. The guy has dropped us, and he's no longer buying our peppers. And it was just like this complete shock to the farmer. So, he runs his home, and he comes, and, what's going on? And I guess the sriracha guy had offered his farm manager this, job. And so the farmer thought, you're trying to steal my farm manager and cut me out so he'll grow peppers for you. And then they were like, no, it was just a side job for extra money, back and forth. And words were said. And anyway, in the end, there was this great big falling out, and they quit doing business with each other. Well, the farmer didn't have anyone to really sell these peppers to like he had before, and the sriracha maker couldn't get enough peppers from anywhere else to make his sauce. And when this became evident, you would think, okay, they need each other, at least they can do business together. But they refused to do business together over a misunderstanding. And they lost money and lost business and continued to lose money and continued to lose business till finally they both lost millions of dollars over being unwilling to work with each other. And they haven't gone completely under, but the sriracha maker has lost his place in the market, because as soon as there was a shortage, the big companies took over that space, and now he's lost his market share, which is virtually impossible to get back. The farmer has had to destroy or throw away most of his crop because he can only sell so many peppers, and that's all he's grown for all these years. So it's this huge expense and bother to try and start growing other crops. And they are both in the tank because they hate each other, and they've gone from successful multi-million-dollar international businessmen to almost bankrupt over, I won't work with you.
A lie, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lie that says, I can't forgive you, maybe I can't be wrong myself. And in a sense, like we do that sort of stuff to protect ourselves. We like to be right, so we protect our image. In the effort of protecting their image, they tanked, basically.
I like to be right.
Well, so do I.
But I'm not going to lose millions of dollars over it.
We hope not, considering we don't have millions of dollars to lose. So,
that's right,
Yeah.
That was true. And again, you talked to the farm manager, it was all a misunderstanding. It was all what they were saying about each other wasn't actually true.
Yeah, a misunderstanding, which is a form of a lie, in a way, because they chose to believe that instead of investigating further into what could be the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Or misunderstanding basically sort of became a lie.
Yeah, the sriracha farmer, the farmer thought the sriracha guy was trying to steal his worker, and he wasn't.
And
the sriracha guy was mad at the farmer because the farmer basically thought he would, do that, so you never knew me, you're a bad person.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's making a lot of assumptions that weren't true,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that takes us to our next story. When I was on, so basically, these guys weren't being flexible.
No.
Their belief system, their lies caused them.
The thing they grabbed onto.
Yeah,
That was it.
It just kept them there. They
were unbending.
Yeah, they were unbending and unyielding, yes. And so if they would have been flexible and willing to listen to a bigger story, they could have gotten to it.
Or even just, I hate you, you hate me, but we
Yeah.
make millions together,
Yeah,
so we're going to do that
let's do
together.
it. Yes,
You know?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had read a story on Facebook that someone had posted this last week, which kind of reminded me of that. There was this young man said when he was, I think, about 12 or 13, he had broken his arm, was in the cast, and then he went to the doctor to get it taken off. And the doctor had this saw thing that he was going to saw it off with, basically. And the kid was scared, and the doctor's like, well, let me explain to you how this works. And so since Brett has broke his very own arm himself and had his cast cut off, and the doctor did not explain it to him, he found this story interesting. So I'm going to let him share how that works with you in his own personal story of, you like how this works? We have to do it. You're the one telling all the stories.
Well, I broke my arm when I was several things. I don't guess it was my first cast, but this is the one that stands out. I broke my arm when I was in high school, and I was taken to the hospital, and they put a cast on, and da-da-da. And, however long you wear a cast, but when they went to cut it off, they have this little hand thing, and it's got a rotary saw on it. It's about that big around, and it looks like a power tool. I guess it is, because there's, and the doctor didn't explain to me anything. He just got me in there, and cast comes off, and I mean, I'm probably 15, so I wasn't, too young, but still, someone starts taking a buzz saw to your arm that's going to cut a hard plaster cast. You tend to think, how are you going to not cut my arm open, And he just, and the plaster dust is flying, and I'm freaking out because, and he does hit my arm a few times, and it didn't cut my arm, and I didn't know, how is this miraculous thing not slicing through my skin as it slices through the cast? And he got the whole cast off, and I was just shocked and amazed that this thing didn't cut through my arm.
Mm-hmm. And the reason, basically, the doctor had explained to him was because the skin is elastic and can move around while the cast is rigid. And so when the saw touches your skin, it only vibrates because the skin is pliable. However, the cast is brittle and breaks when the blade moves back and forth across on it.
I still don't get that. She explains it to me. There's pictures. There's diagrams. I still don't understand how that works.
You even experienced it.
Yeah, still don't get it.
That little saw was definitely a piece of genius on somebody's part.
Somebody's made $1 billion and didn't need sriracha sauce. They had a buzz saw that would not cut your arm.
Yeah, and so he goes into his thoughts on that. I skipped some of it, and he says, basically, he said, the more I thought about this, the more I applied it to me as a person. I should be strong, but not rigid. It's good to have passions, beliefs, and convictions, but I also need to leave room for the inevitable shaking that will occur. I think hope is often stronger than staunch conviction. I've seen too many people break because they were too tied to an idea or way of doing things that when the time came to bend, they couldn't, and so they broke, much like the sriracha guys. So I've had this happen to me in different parts of my life, professionally, in my faith, in relationships, etc. When I should have bent, I broke. I've also had times when I was too flexible and didn't serve the purpose I needed to. So basically, and this is the part that I found interesting, was he says chances are 100% basically that at any given time in my life I am wrong, and I am in living out a belief system of a lie that I am entirely unaware of, and yet when I do become aware of that, I need to be flexible enough to be able to change.
I don't think Aspen's ever broken anything.
No, she
She's
hasn't.
never had it. Hadassah, you ever broke anything?
No,
No cast for you?
none.
Not even Africa when you wrestled that lion?
No, I was stronger. It didn't even touch me.
Oh, well, see, just like the cast saw, the lion just didn't even break her skin because she was flexible and pliable, and yeah. No, that's interesting. Any given day, you're 100% wrong about something. You may not know what it is. It may not be meaning, but you're wrong about something.
Yeah, and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
That is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, take you said Peter and the food that as an example.
Yeah. So when Peter, having been with Jesus and having gone through multiple experiences of learning humility and about how wrong he was about things, and after all this and the resurrection and Jesus, you're my rock, build my church, even after all that, Peter was going to be this disciple, to the Gentiles, and he just wasn't going to go there. They're Gentiles, they're not clean, they're and obviously most of you know the story. God gave him a vision of all the unclean animals and said, "Get up, Peter, kill and eat." And he's like, "No, I can't. They're unclean." Jesus says in the vision, "Don't call unclean what I have deemed to be clean." And the whole thing being that Peter was about to get an invitation from a Roman to go talk to his house and the Gentiles, and Peter would have said no, except he had the vision. It was like, so even in his years of experience with Jesus, he was still basically wrong about some fundamental things about loving others.
Yeah, and that's basically what spiritual poverty is, like entirely unaware that we are wrong.
Yeah.
And so I've been studying into that, more and such, and I got to thinking that it was a story of the woman at the well. She goes out to the well this one day, and there's Jesus, and she sees him, and basically he's a crazy guy that just so happened, just her lucky day, right? Mm-hmm. She shows up to the well when the crazy guy comes.
Yep.
And so, he's telling her about the living water he has to offer her, and she'll never be thirsty again and stuff. And she's giving him a hard time about it. She's like, "Well, where is this living water then?" And then he tells her things about her that he could not have known, except that he was the Messiah, or a prophet, basically. And she was like, "Oh, she said, are you the prophet?" Right?
Yeah, that we were told her to then come, and and then there was the theological debate about, well, you guys say the temple's here, and and Jesus really had to nail her down on, "Let me tell you about you."
Yeah, and when she realized that he was the truth, when she recognized that, saw the truth with her heart, not just a knowledge up here, but saw the truth with her heart, that caused her to run back to the city and tell all her friends to bring them back. That's what changed her life. It wasn't a head knowledge of it, of like, I'm not a very good person and that sort of thing. Take, for example, she's known for having quite a number of husbands, and then the guy she was currently living with wasn't her husband. And this is the stuff that, of course, Jesus is telling her, that he could not have known that.
And it's, worth pointing out that, when, she asked Jesus, where are we supposed to, worship and all that, and that's when Jesus says, "Well, go get your husband, bring him back, and then I'll tell you." And she says, "I don't have a husband." And he says, "Well, you have spoken the truth, and the guy you're with now is not your husband." And it's worth noting that he didn't, say this in a condemning, shame you kind of way. It was really more of a, let me tell you, I know. And you have said the truth. Yes, you have. And that's absolutely true for the last 3 guys and the guy you're with now. And it was more of a, I'm showing you who I am without condemning you.
Right. And when I think about my own life, for example, honestly, Brett knows, all the stuff God has done for us, and through my whole life. And I can even look back to, things that at that point in time it was like, that's terrible. Now you can look back and see that it was meant for good, right? And so, so all these times God is showing up for us and doing things for us. And yet, at any given time, we are 100% wrong in our belief system about something. And that does not stop God from being merciful to us and living out his love towards us, just like he did for that woman at the well. So offering her, always there, offering salvation and a deeper relationship with him or with me or with you, despite our being wrong. Not, he recognizes that desire in our hearts to live out truth. And when we finally see that truth, that is what changes us. It isn't like, take the rich young ruler, for example. When he went to Jesus, he's like, what must I do to be saved? And Jesus said, well, keep the commandments, right? He's like, well, I've done that. I have done that. It wasn't being good. It wasn't keeping all the commandments. That not that isn't truth, but that isn't what would have changed his life. That didn't change. He knew he was still missing. He was still missing a piece. And when Jesus offered that to him, he didn't take Jesus up on that at that point in time. So, guess that.
It's like Aspen. When I was wrong with that about Aspen. So wrong.
Oh, really?
Very wrong with Aspen. Yeah. I was. You remember that when I was wrong about Aspen?
No. What are you talking about?
Thought, got a daughter. That's all right. I can make her a tomboy. I'm going to teach her how to play football. We're going to play catch. She is going to be my little pro athlete. Boy, did I get that wrong.
Yeah, see, I mean, we believe these
Not
things.
interested in football unless it was a pink football. Not interested in playing catch unless it was with a Barbie mitt and a Barbie bat and a Barbie ball. You know what that looks like for me, using a Barbie mitt? This is what we do for love.
Yes.
Aspen's sitting over there not impressed. It's true. That's all right. She turned out to be a fashionista girl.
Yes, but when God lives out his mercy, when we finally recognize how wrong we are, and there's nothing we can do to change that, and yet God is still merciful to us, and that's when we can start being merciful to others as well, and being able to accept them where they were at. Yeah, we might think that they are living out lies because they don't agree with us, and yet we can be merciful to them and still reach out and live out love to them.
Yeah. I was wrong about Hadassah. Here I heard she was in Africa. I thought, oh my word, it's a jungle child and she's a safari girl and she's going to be wrestling alligators. And no, that's not Hadassah at all. And Hadassah has nothing to say about that.
Maybe Hadassah's napping.
Oh, okay. So, anyway. But we're wrong about something. I have said before that, like, a big step, even the essence of humility, true humility, is the ability to openly and easily say, I could be wrong. No matter what you're believing, no matter what you're even if you are strongly convicted about, is to say, but I'm open. I could be wrong, and not have that attack your self-worth or your ego or your being open and liable to be, I could be wrong, because throughout your life God is going to be pointing things out that yes, you were wrong about this.
Yes.
But they're growing experiences, and those things I hate so much. What do you call them?
Character building experiences.
Yeah, I hate those, but they are necessary.
They are.
Yes. I hate waiting in traffic, but it's good for me.
He'll get over it.
Okay.
When
So,
he recognizes the truth of that, God's mercy like that changing us. I don't know how to explain that.
He's changing me in traffic. That's how God is working.
He can. Okay. So the thing is, like, you don't have to sit there in traffic and hate that.
Yeah.
God has peace that we can't explain, and that's what the Bible says, right? Okay. So when we see that truth of who God is, and then that changes us so that we can have peace just sitting there. We don't have to get angry. We don't have to go, oh, I hate this. And the beauty of that is like amazing.
I'm still looking for that peace. I'm sure it will come one day.
Yes. Yes and yes.
Aspen's going. Anyway, well, there you have it. So, sorry we were so late, but
Yeah.
we came through anyway. And because Miranda is the soldier that goes on and says, we will be consistent.
Even if Brett did have a tummy
And
ache.
a tummy ache. That's true. But, all right. Well, hope you had a great Sabbath, and we'll be here next time. So